broadcast for shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. This is the Firearms Radio Network. This edition of Gun Guy Radio is supplied by Alien Gear Holsters. AlienGearHolsters.com.
Welcome to episode 157 of Gun Guy Radio. This is a podcast that shines a positive light on the firearms lifestyle. I'm your host, Jake Challen, and this is your weekly dose of positive firearms talk without the politics. And it's my pleasure to introduce you to your guest host, Ryan Machad of Handgun Radio. Ryan, I need you to bring lawyers, guns, and money. I'll explain later. Only 18 weeks left of my dreaded day job. I'm looking forward to freedom. Ryan, take it away.
I'll do that, Jake, and you must know what a fan I am of Warren Zevon. Hello, and welcome to episode 157 of Gun Guy Radio. We have a very special episode and guest lined up for you this week. Many of you know Peter Palma from Top Shot, the Miss Clean kits, and This Week in Guns. Peter has started another Kickstarter campaign to get the Miss Clean 2.0 kits up and running and distributed to those people that need them and want them. So, the Miss Clean kits are a really great product that have numerous practical applications, not just for gun cleaning implements, as you'll find out in the main topic interview. Peter joined me for an interview, and we discussed his experiences in the military, what got him shooting, what it was like to be on Top Shot and Top Shot All-Stars, and finally what drove him to design and produce the Miss Clean kits. So I think you will really enjoy the interview, and it was a pleasure to get to speak with Peter. So with that, let's head into the main topic, Peter Palma and the new Miss Clean 2.0 kits.
Do you shop on Amazon? How about your spouse? Does your mom? Does your, company? Why not use the Firearms Radio Network's Amazon affiliate link next time you shop Amazon? Bookmark firearmsradio.tv/Amazon, or click through the Amazon link in the right-hand corner of firearmsradio.tv. Get it? Got it? Amazon it!
All right, so we're into the main topic. We're joined by Peter Palma of the MS Clean kits. How you doing, Peter?
Hey, what's going on?
Not much.
It's actually, I'm trying to get people to stop saying MS Clean kits because it's actually Miss Clean.
Miss Clean. Okay.
Yeah, so it's just like the acronym is for magazine shaped cleaning kit. So it's like that, but I tried to get the whole idea is our logo is like a pinup girl, like something you would see on the side of a B-17 bomber, and she would be Miss Clean. And so I can continue to use that logo because I'm doing medical kits and first aid kits. I'm also doing survival kits, and so that I can transfer that pinup girl to those different themes.
That's why it's M lowercase s. All right.
Yeah. All
right. So Miss Clean. Now, first, a little bit about your background. How did you get into shooting?
Well, I always had a fondness for firearms. Like, I was always obsessed with them, I would say, as a kid. I liked them more than any of my other friends. Like, we all had, would play gun. We call it play guns, just run around and shoot each other and stuff. We didn't have airsoft at the time, so we just shot each other with either actual BB guns or water guns or, just toy guns. There was a progression in the, and my dad wouldn't really liked guns and never hunted and never owned a gun. And so, I was kind of stuck. I shot my first gun with a friend's dad at like 12, and it was like a 20 gauge shotgun. I shot one round at a pine cone, and that was it. And then I didn't really shoot again until I was 18, and I was able to buy my own firearms. I bought a Ruger 1022, and I kind of was just self-taught for the longest time.
Yeah, the old 1022. That was my first rifle as well. It's just, I don't know. It's weird because nowadays you play toy guns around anybody and you get yelled at probably, but back when I was a kid, it was like the thing you did.
Yeah, we would take our guns to school, actually, like the toy guns to school, and play it on the on the playground. I hate to sound like some old dude being like, "What you used to," but that's what I mean. That wasn't an issue, and there wasn't school shootings, at the time.
Right.
So
what? Like, how did you end up joining the military?
Existential crisis. Now, I kind of always wanted to join. You'll hear people say, "I was going to join, but da 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 da." Well, eventually, just like they're doing other things, and it's like putting yourself in jail. It's like I was going to go to jail, but I just never broke any laws. So I ended up, getting broken up with a girl, and I was all heartbroken, and that's I always wanted to be a Marine, but I never never actually had a reason to go do it. And then, there was a war going on, and that happened. And I said, well, let's do it. And I did. So that's really, they look for people in existential crisis. That's part of their scheme. Like you're stuck in an area where there's, you're in a poor area and you're in trouble with the law, or, you want to change your life drastically and you don't think there's any other way. And the only answer is the military. And that's kind of what happened with me. So
now, where and when did you serve?
I served in 05-06 in the Fallujah area, Iraq, and then 08-09, like in Western Iraq, like near Jordan and Syria.
Now, what was your specialty when you were over there?
Well, my first tour, I was a machine gunner in the Marines, and then when we got back, they said we were going to have to deploy again, like in the near future. And it kind of sucks being a grunt. You got to like stand post, and you're always up in the turret. You got to do a lot. It's work intensive and it's dangerous. So I joined the sniper platoon because they had it a little bit easier and they had the cooler guns and everything. And then I went to sniper school between my tours, and then so when I was a actual school trained sniper during my second tour.
Very nice. Now, what weapon were you on with that?
We actually had a bunch of different weapons. I had like an Axis, our platoon, I had my own M40. They give, once you become a school trained sniper in your platoon, they'll give you your own 40, which is a Remington 700 with a cement bender on it. And, but like that gun is kind of obsolete, I'd say, because you have Mark 11s or SR25s, semi-automatic 308s, with the same scope, and it's pretty much can do the same thing, but it has a suppressor on it, and you have 20 rounds, so you don't need to carry two guns. You could just carry that gun and kind of get around like a DM rifle or something.
Right.
And then we had a Mark 12s, which were like a 5.56 version of that, and I had access to pretty much a plethora of firearms. M79s, that was one I'd like to take with me, and shotgun, and so really depended on what we were going to do is what gun I selected. They didn't just give me one gun and that's what I had. I had like a plethora of guns to choose from. But the ones you mostly see in the Marines is like your M40 and the Barrett. Those were the ones that stayed in the armory the most, just because the Barrett's really heavy and it's kind of dumb. And, it's not very accurate.
Yeah, and you got the specialty roles with the Barretts too. I mean, it's not really an all-purpose type of thing like that Mark 11 or the SR25.
Yeah, we've mostly, and it's too heavy to carry around, and I don't understand the idea of a semi-automatic 50 cal for that type of purposes. It's a huge MOA. It's like 3 MOA at best, and you can't put match ammo in it, and it's just not really set up for this. It's really an anti-materiel rifle, which it's kind of good for. So we mostly kept them on posts where people may need to, stop a vehicle, because there wasn't, and because most of the 50s, the M2s were on up guns on vehicles, so we just kept the Barretts like on posts. So, it wasn't like they would just look through the scope and bang it out. But
did you kind of see more of a transition towards like the designated marksman role, kind of giving more people more accurate guns as opposed to having a specialty group of people with a really, really accurate firearm?
Well, I was in the transition where not everybody had ACOGs,
right? Really,
but when we deployed, we all had ACOGs. So when we're that pretty much having, in the Marines, they still use the full 20-inch barreled M16, M16A4. A lot of people had that. It's kind of heavy and big, but it's the Marines are really like on the doctrine of being able to shoot somebody far away is more important than CQB stuff. But a 20-inch, it's coming out there, 3,000 plus feet per second, and with a 4-power ACOG, you pretty much everybody already had a DM rifle. That you could easily engage targets at 500 yards, like easily. So. But as far as getting away from the bolt gun, if you had an SR-25 or you had a Mark 11, you're going to take that over your bolt gun.
Right.
Now, some of the other units, like we only had our bolt guns in 308, so if some of the other people had like 300 Win Mag or something like that, it may be a little bit easier for them or a little bit advantageous for them to take that out because it's got a little more ass behind it and it could go a little bit further. So maybe like I know the SEALs at the time had it and the Army had it, so that may still have a niche there. But if you have a semi-automatic 308 and a bolt action 308, it's kind of like a no-brainer.
Right.
Alien Gear Holsters, the most comfortable and concealable holsters on the planet, is offering big savings with our new 2-holster combo. Now you can buy 2 complete holsters for as little as $49.88. Choose from any available holster styles and colors for the guns of your choice. All of Alien Gear's quality products are made right here in the USA and include a 30-day trial, forever warranty, and free shell trades for life. Visit aliengearholsters.com today.
Now, kind of moving away from your military career, how did you get on to Top Shot? Because that's where a lot of people know you from.
That was kind of just like a fluke. I was getting out of, I was done with my tours at the time, done with my pumps, and I was still in the military. And my cousin's husband saw a casting call. It was like looking for people with big personalities, with mind-blowing shooting skills that can, want to win $100,000. And he sent me the casting call link. And I was like, whoa, look, they made a TV show for me. But, you just never think that you're ever going to be on television. And so I sent in an email, like a crazy email, pretty much saying something about Gary Busey. I don't know. I was just talking crazy to them. They're like, who's this guy? And they were intrigued that I was like a roller derby mascot and that I was a Marine sniper because, there has never been a sniper on. I think they had Air Force snipers or something, but I'm not sure exactly how that works. Not to like knock on the Air Force or whatever, but like I don't know what it takes to become an Air Force sniper or, or how long their score, how intensive that is or whatever. But I think there was like one Air Force sniper on there and that was it. So like they were pretty stoked to have, an actual sniper on there. So I sent them, I made up a video, which I guess there was a format for the video that I didn't see. So I just kind of put some crazy stuff together and they liked that. And then so they selected like, out of like the 4,000 people put emails in, they selected like, 250 of them to send videos in. And then from them, they narrowed it down to like 100 people. And it was just kept like narrowing down. And they sent 50 of us out to Los Angeles to like, go shoot and go do a psychological evaluation and all that stuff. Is pretty intensive. And from those 50, they selected 16. I just happened to be one of them.
Now, that must have been a pretty cool experience, though. Something different, I'm sure, being on the History Channel, fairly large channel.
Well,
and they didn't know the popularity, how popular the show would be when it first started.
Yeah, and that was a thing. Like, there had never been... The only shooting shows I've ever seen were either like History of the Gun or Tales of the Gun, actually, it was called. And it was, you have to remember, like, we grew up in a time of like huge anti-gun, like it was the theme of America was just anti-gun. Like, that's why I'm not a huge fan of like the NRA or whatever it is. Like, they were like only like supporting those type of firearms that were like hunting, this, that. Like, all of the propaganda that they were putting out at the time when I was a kid were like hunting, or like none of their guns were like cool AR guns you would actually be able to defend your country with, right? From a tyrannical government. And so, but now it's a little more popular. Like, the NRA annual meeting, they would never allow like AR-15 style rifles there. But now that it's more popular and everything, they jumped on the bandwagon and stuff. So it's kind of like, hey, you're a little late. And so at the and like Tales of the Gun, even in the very beginning of the show, they would have like a thing where the firearm has been used by both villain and hero alike, and it's a huge undertone of anti-gun sentiment.
Right.
So like the only gun shows you would have seen on the History Channel even were like, or on regular TV, were shows like that even had like an anti-gun underlayment to it, like more of just history of it. And then they had trick shooters on the history. So there was nothing like for the firearms enthusiast. And so when Top Shot came out, I didn't think anybody was going to watch it, because I could tell when it was being filmed, it was showing people using firearms in a good condentation and action shooting, using ARs, using like semi-automatic handguns, and using them how they're intended to be used. And it didn't have like a huge like let's be a 3%er type overtone, but it didn't have like any anti-gun overtones to it at all. They're like, look, you could use these firearms for a bunch of fun stuff. We're shooting sniper rifles. We're shooting like on the run. We're shooting all this stuff. It was kind of neat. And so I didn't think anybody was going to watch it. Like, I really thought that it was just going to be on like Sunday nights at like midnight, and that it was going to be like kind of like on the Outdoor Network, they had some hunting shows, and it was like that. Like, unless you were really, really into that, you would never watch it.
Right.
And so when it blew up like it did, and I was like, whoa, that's kind of crazy. And then all those other gun shows fell in suit. Like Discovery came out with Sons of Guns, and then some other channel came out with American Guns, and it just, none of them were like a game show like ours, but it was like, more of those reality type shows. So it was kind of neat to see that. And then the whole industry have kind of blown up. So I'm not saying Top Shot did it, but I'm saying it was a part of that. It was definitely, maybe it didn't cause any of it to blow up like it's doing, but it definitely it was part of that movement.
Well, and I think one of the big things, with Top Shot was the fact that it wasn't, I mean, the other shows were good for entertainment and stuff, but if you're a gun guy and you're watching Sons of Guns or American Guns, you're seeing some stuff and you're like, come on, that's not real life. Or, what are you going to, what's the practical use for that? A lot of it was just kind of dramatized. Whereas Top Shot, was realistic competition with people who you knew how to shoot, people like yourself, people who are in the industry, and it's something that even gun people and non-gun people could watch and get behind. Yeah, and as far as like, just from being in not saying being in Hollywood, but watching how everything's filmed and how, because the film people have unions, so like you'll see, and you're watching a TV show and you're just seeing the images and you don't think about it. Once you see how it's made, you could call BS on a bunch of shows. Like, people get mad and they storm out the door, and there's a shot of them from the outside storming out the door. So it's like, oh, wait. So you're telling me like a camera guy who's union and gets paid, a ridiculous amount of money is just sitting outside randomly filming at the door. Right. No. Like, they're like, they had a dude outside and they said, all right, we want you to storm out of that door and look mad. You know what I mean? And these people are not actors, so it looks fake. You know what I mean? Because they're like trying to, you know what I mean? Not everybody, even actors that we watch and know, like Keanu Reeves, is bad sometimes. You know what I mean? And it like takes you out of, you can see, oh, that acting was bad, and in turn the movie is bad. So like that happens. But with Top Shot, they selected you more off of like, the selection was more off of how crazy you were. Like, the crazier you were, without being too crazy, that's what they wanted. So they would put these people in a room and give half blue shirts and half red shirts, and it had no choice but to go insane. It's like a science of, if you put personalities 7, 24, and 35 in a room and you give them a competition, they're going to fight each other. And so that was kind of the setup, not so much making them say things to each other. Now, what out of all the competitions you did on the show, probably what was the hardest one for you?
Of all of the ones I've seen on the show, now granted, I haven't shot all the ones. I only shot the ones I shot. I still maintain, I think the hardest one was like Chris Serino. There was a thing where there was nails in a board, right, like 7 yards away. and they gave you this Smith & Wesson M&P. Now, it's not the M&P that you guys are familiar with. It's like the M&P from like 1935. It's like a double action revolver. It was like one of the first double action revolvers that were popular. You know, like, yeah, there were semi-automatic polymer handguns like the HK VP70, but it's not popular. Glock is like in everybody's mind, Glock is the first polymer handgun, but really there was other ones. That was the one that caught on. So like this M&P was the first double action handgun that like really caught on, the Model 10 or whatever it was, I think it was. And the trigger is horrible. Like,
Yep.
like you say, man, it's horrible being out in the cold. No, it's just kind of uncomfortable being out in the cold. Getting hit with a bat with nails in it, that's horrible. Like that's like, it would be like every bit of 15 to 20 pounds. And then it would just cut off, and then boom, the gun would go off. And it's like you're straining to pull that much. The sights were like curved. It was just, I don't see how he did it. And he hit like, he was so close with the first shot and then hit the other two shots. And I just don't think there's very many other people that you could find that can do that. Like even in the shooting community, I think there's maybe less than 1% of people that could actually do that. And you have to remember, you're on television too. There's all that stress. So he shook off all of that stress and got it done. Like, I think that was one of the most, even though it was probably not one of the most exciting or dynamic ones, I really think that was one of the most difficult shots on there, to drive nails in with the bullet. So
Now, you also were involved on the Top Shot All-Stars. How did you get involved with that?
Well, I guess they, in essence, called all the people who did really well on the first Top Shot. So I got to the last episode, and I wasn't really a strong pistol shooter, and I was on there with Chris Serino and Ian Harrison and JJ Rakaza, and it was like a pistol thing, and I was like, I knew my number was up right then and there. Because I had seen what they were doing with those pistols, and I'm like, I cannot do that. I have since upped my pistol skills, just trained, because I went and trained with all of those guys since. But so I got to the last episode, and they called everybody back on All Stars, and I, was in college at the time, and I was deciding whether I was going to do it or not. And I did. I went on there, and I did all right. I didn't do as well as the first time, but now you have like all of the shooters that were really good. So the first time, especially on the first season, maybe there were some people there that probably shouldn't have been. They were just mediocre shooters at best, and they just didn't really know. The casting call hadn't gone out. Nobody had seen the show. Wasn't popular. They had for the subsequent shows, everybody was. There was 4 million people now, at least, that were familiar with it, so that one they'd be on the next one. So the All Stars one was pretty cool. They had a little bit more money. It was a lot more laid back, and there was no teams, so there was no real drama. We just went and shot and had a blast. It was 10 times more fun than the first one.
Right. Well, and you were in season 1 the first time, and then at the All-Stars was season 5. So, I mean, they kind of knew that the show had really taken off and had legs at this point.
Yeah, I think it probably, usually when they do an All-Star thing, that's generally like the end of it. And,
right.
I think it was cool. It played its course out, and they ended it with, and then that was it. So they, I don't think they really got to the point. I think they were smart. They saw it was going to jump the shark. People got tired of seeing the same thing over and over, and they're like, let's do an All-Stars and end it and move on with something else. So, not like Swamp People where it's like, all right, how many more times do we have to watch a dude shoot an alligator?
Right.
Like, it was really cool first to see all weird people from Louisiana, and, I live here, so it's crazy to meet people and be like, whoa, what is this guy saying? But after a while, it's like, yeah, that's just how they talk, and, I'm just trying to buy some some crawfish or some boudin or something.
So, kind of moving on to your business here, how did you end up launching Miss Clean? And it's Miss Clean. Yeah,
it's Miss Clean. And so how we ended up launching it the first time, pretty much in the military, the Marines were starting to go to M4s. Right, and they have the collapsible buttstock. The M16A4, A2, or A1 even has like a little trapdoor, and all your stuff fits in there. So it wasn't really a big deal. But once we got away from that, and nobody uses that buttstock anymore. Unless maybe if you're in an area where you can't have a collapsible stock, some people still use it. But that storage area in the stock actually was lost, and so I noticed So then they started issuing the kits instead of in the stock. They started issuing them in like a little green, like nylon bag from like Vietnam that had Alice clips on it. And by this point we're all using Molly and stuff, anyways. And so, but like it came with a bottle and would get smashed and lubricant would get all over your gear and stuff. And it's a huge issue, like having to sleep in a sleeping bag and having your uniforms covered in CLP. So, we're like, well, what am I going to do? Well, a lot of people just stopped carrying CLP with them because I noticed it would be time to clean guns and nobody would have CLP because, it's going to get all over your gear. When you travel, they your whole battalion just literally throws. There's like a bucket, like firefighters with buckets, just throws all your packs in a big truck. And you go somewhere and you throw all of your thing off a pack and you find your name on your pack and then you go about, so it's all just being smashed. It's like ridiculous. It's kind of like the airlines on crack. You know what I mean? And there's nowhere to sit. So half the time you're sitting on your pack. So anything inside of it, especially a little CLP pile, is going to get smashed. So I started putting my stuff in a pop flare pouch. They give you like these flares that you can like shoot up in the air, and they come in these, like hard green containers that are big enough to put your rods in and whatever. Well, here's the thing: where are you going to put that thing? There's not really. Nobody makes a pouch that can fit into. They make pouches for the actual metal part of the flare, but not for the container that the flare goes in. So I'm like, whatever. So I just throw my pack, but you don't always have your pack with you. And if you need to pull it out of your pack, it's not. You have to dig everything out of your pack, and it just was whatever. And so we kind of looked at like a PMag, and we're like, it would be cool to stick it in there. And I thought, okay, I could just, I'm a plumber, so I just PVC'd the follower on the bottom of one, and then how they have those mag protectors. Oh,
the little thing,
the feed lip protector, yeah. And so you could kind of use that in there, but things would get stuck. You would put stuff in there so it didn't rattle, like rags and patches and Q-tips, and then it was hard to get stuff out because the feed lips were in the way, and it was just so my partner who's a civilian, and he would be writing back and forth. He actually came up with the idea. He took an Oralite mag, those were the first polymer mags, and cut it in half and glued popsicle sticks to it, and was like, hey, look, here's you can have it open like this. And I'm like, oh, that's actually cool, because then we could put all the little stuff in it. And so that's where it kind of came out.
Now, one of the things you mentioned in the video for your Miss Clean 2.0 was the fact that you can't use the important thing was having the rods, because a lot of people will pack those pull through bore snakes and stuff like that to clean their barrels. You can't clear a stuck case or a bore obstruction with those.
No, you can't. And the one thing I'll never forget was some kid fell asleep or something. I don't know, he did whatever. And so the drill instructors took his rifle and just they call it the 6-inch barrel, where it's from the front sight post to the end, it's 6 inches or whatever. They just took his rifle, and we're in South Carolina, and just shoved it into the mud, just whoop, and filled the first 6 inches of his barrel in essence with mud. And I just saw that, and I was like, because if you're not in the military, and you'll see it a lot on Instagram, whatever, I call them safe queens. People have these guns that they have a fitted case for their gun, a hard case, and you open it up and the foam is cut out exactly for their gun. Right. And then they have all these other little things that is cut out in the foam, and they take it out and they shoot it a little bit and they put it back in the foam. It's just not like that in the military. If I took most people's guns and just shoved their barrel into the mud, they literally would have a heart attack and die. But that's hey, you could be running in the military and trip over a log, and whoop, your barrel could go right into the mud, and things like that have happened. It happens. So with it's just not, it's science. So a cord or a cordage or a cable, it only works in tension, not in compression. And so you couldn't really get that out. Or if you have a stuck case or a squib round, you could get a squib round, an audible pop, and you get a squib round. It happens occasional. And there's no way you're going to dislodge that from your barrel without rods. Right. So that's why I chose to go with steel rods. Though most people think, oh, I would never put steel rods down my gun. Most barrels are either nitrided, or they're a harder steel than the rods, or they're chrome lined, and you're just not going to damage your barrel of an M4 with those rods. Now, if you have a stainless steel target, whatever, then yeah, maybe. But this is not really what it's designed for. So.
Now, so far, how has the journey been as a small business owner with the Misclean kits?
Had I known now what it would have been like, I would have never have attempted it, ever. There's just so much to learn, and there's just so many mistakes, and there's so many people ripping you off. Like we've lost thousands of dollars due to just like people rip. Like it's almost it's uncountable amount of money. Not because it's so high, just because we'll never know the exact dollar amount of people actually either physically. We like pay for a product and they never give it to us, or pay for a service and they never provide it, or they sell us a service and it's supposed to be, we would have a certain return on our investment and we just never got that. And so, or like, just like certain things happening. It's just the nature of the business. Is if everything went according to plan, or even half the stuff went according to plan, it'd be really good. But and then everybody sits back and thinks that you're a millionaire because you have, a business and an LLC, and it's just not the case. So it's and we have it rough because in order to buy our product, you have to at least own a firearm and want to clean it, and have an AR-15 type firearm. So there's a lot of people that have them, but still it's a small section of the population.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's the market is definitely gotten a lot more saturated than it was even 5-6 years ago. It's just exploded, and to stand out. But I think you guys you stand out. That's the thing, because everybody sells a cleaning kit, but how many times have you gotten some cleaning kit and lost it probably 3 weeks later because you just tossed it somewhere? This is something you can tuck in with your magazines, something like that. It's not going to be something that you just toss in a drawer somewhere and then end up losing. And
like I have like a when I go to the range, and I have like a toolbox in essence, like a big tackle box, kind of like like a small toolbox. I got it at Home Depot or Lowe's or something. So, and it just has like pieces of all the other cleaning kits I've ever had in my life, because they just never, you could spend. If I would have spent the money on it, sounds like a sales pitch, but if I would have bought a Misclean the way I intend to make it, like what's offered in our Kickstarter, if I would have bought one of those years ago, I would have saved money, because I would have had that. It would have been all contained in this thing where you're not going to lose it. The tools are of good quality where they're not going to break. Brushes and things like that you may have to replace over time. That's a serviceable item, but the rods, the little pieces, they would have been, the meat and potatoes of it would have still been around, and I could have replaced them or added to it as I saw fit. Well, now I have like probably 30 pieces of 30 cleaning kits, like in varying degrees of serviceability, aluminum rods that break, brass rods that break, just like, various like pieces of pull-throughs that I don't have the other parts to, and stuff like that. So I really do think that this would be the last cleaning kit you'd ever really need, and that's what I intended to make it. So.
Well, and like all the cleaning kits I've ever had have just been, wicked inconvenient to bring around. Like one of them, had all the rods in it, but it was the size of a small briefcase, and it's like, I got enough stuff to carry to the range. Carrying this thing is not going to be easy. With this, you got a range bag with a bunch of AR magazines in it, and it's like, oh, let's toss the cleaning kit in there as well.
And it's crazy because I never really foresaw all the uses for it. I was really just focused on the cleaning because something it's a passion for me more than a business. Like if I didn't have, because I kind of hate the military industrial complex, even though I'm almost trying to be a part of it. But because, I noticed early on, just through my observations, that there were billions of dollars worth of equipment there that were not useful and like that we didn't really need. Like stealth bombers and stealth fighters. Like we don't really need, like they were zero use to me during my war. Like all the stealth bombers and fighters, they didn't save anybody's life, in my opinion. Maybe during the first Gulf War, when we went in and knocked some stuff out, they saved some people's lives. But the fact that we were I'm a firearms enthusiast, so when I joined the Marines, I was super excited to see how the most elite fighting force, whatever, was cleaning their firearms and treating their firearms, and how I saw that they were still using this crappy cleaning kit from Vietnam. I was appalled. It's literally like a disservice. And then the Otis kit is actually, my main competitor. They're actually it's a good product. It's just a horrible design for the military. It's it's intended for hunting and all of those things. And it's not a bad system. It's not a bad product. It's just been adapted for military use because there was nothing else available. And what they should have done is make a better cleaning kit from the ground up. Or, it's kind of like Magpul. Magpul, everybody knows them for their magazines and their handguards and everything. The only reason they're called Magpul is some people don't even know this, is they made that little rubber thing that goes on the bottom of a magazine, because the magazine pouches at the time were horizontal. So in essence, the bullets pointed towards your body instead of to your left or to your right. And it was difficult to get the magazine out because they were 3 stacked next to each other. And so they made this rubber thing that you could put your little finger in and pull it out, which is super slow. What they really needed to do is make pouches the way they have nowadays, which are sideways, and you just grab the whole magazine out. And so nobody uses the Magpul anymore because they all have tactical tailor pouches or HSGI pouches that are sideways on your body.
Right.
So the real issue is that. So instead of adopting the Otis, should have never been adopted for military use, in my opinion, that we should have made a better cleaning kit.
Now, you've started a new Kickstarter campaign for the new Miss Clean 2.0, so tell me a little bit about that.
Well, the first one was for a single thickness kit, so it pretty much is it's similar size to a single magazine. It's a little bit bigger, so it doesn't fit the magazine well and stuff, and so we could fit our rods in it. That was the main thing. So it's a little bit larger, but it still could fit in the pouches. In retrospect, we should have made this the Miss Clean that we're doing right now, which is a double thick one, because most magazine pouches are designed to hold 2 magazines. And so to utilize them the best, we made one that a double thick one, which is the one we should have probably started with. And so now you could fit everything you would need in the single. We call that everything you'd ever need to clean your rifle. It's the bare bones of what you would need to keep an M4 carbine. I like to call them carbines, so I don't rule out Tavors and any other thing. So when it's the bare bones you need to keep a carbine running. And with the double, we're going to have enough space and opportunity to be able to put pretty much everything you would want in a field kit to keep your carbine running. A lens pen so that you could keep your optics, a pull through. So if you don't need your rods, you could quick pull through. You know what I mean? We're going to have a bore snake in there and so forth. So a carbon scraping tool, multi-tool that we're designing with B5. And my friend from Nathan Murph from Grip Stop, he's getting his, which is a handguard type thing for a hand stop for the AR-15s. He's getting that made by B5. So him and I are developing this carbon scraping tool together to a super small, useful, no frills carbon scraping tool. That's part of it. So everything you would need to keep your gun running, and then some. It's have enough space where you could put a rag in there and things like that. So, realistically, you're not going to want to put a magazine in with your cleaning kit. So you're if you have a double pouch, now this fills up that entire double pouch. Where before you would really want to keep your Miss Clean in a single pouch, So that's really the whole the whole idea behind that.
Now, the first Miss Clean Kickstarter and product launch were pretty successful. So how do you intend to build on that success with the new Miss Clean 2.0? Do you have more than just cleaning kits in the offering? Because I know the video explained quite a few different uses for the kit for the actual container itself.
Yeah. One of the great things, the 2 most important things that came from our first Kickstarter was one of the things we realized is we lost our butts on that. We raised $36,000. We had about $3,000 taken from us from people who didn't provide us services and products, and then also Kickstarter takes their cut. So we really only got $30,000, and the dies alone were $27,500. So the rest of the money came up from our own pockets and my student loans, in essence, all and some private debt or debt for the company to actually even make that Kickstarter happen. We've really lost our butts on it. And so now we know all the pricing, so we set our pricing a lot better on the double one. It's double sided. Our goal is 60,000. It sounds like a lot, but right now we launched it on Monday, and today is what? Is it today, Friday? And we already have $18,500 in it. So we are we're looking pretty good. We're by no means guaranteed to make our goal ever, but we're not in a bad spot. So we learned pricing and stuff from that. And one of the great things, this is the greatest thing, is my whole end all goal is to get this in the hands of the military. Well, somebody said, well, why don't you make a level where you could send it to people deployed right now? And I said, oh my gosh, that's the smartest thing ever. So once we added that level, we were able to very quickly make our goal. And so every single one of our levels, not only can you we have a level where you could buy it for yourself and send it overseas, or every level could be set up as a donation. So if you really like the cause and you really want to support the troops and things like that, you can also support the Kickstarter, and we will send those products to people deployed overseas. And those actually are the first people to get them in the Kickstarter. In the last Kickstarter, we set that up, and before anybody who even supported the Kickstarter even got it for themselves, we sent them out to people overseas first. That was the first thing that we did. Upon attaining product, that's the first thing we did, is send stuff overseas, and that's what we're going to do this time as well. So, and you can get in essence, you can get a double misclean kit, and you can there's add-ons. So you can add on all kinds of stuff. Like since we have this container, we have first aid kits, like a little like boo-boo first aid kit at the range. We have a trauma kit. So like if you go, every time you have a firearm, there is a potential to have life-threatening injuries. Whether you may be the safest person ever, you may have to engage somebody for whatever reason, and you may want to provide them with first aid. Once they're not a threat. If you you may not want to take somebody's life. You may have to be forced to do that for whatever reason. But once that threat is eliminated, and if that threat's still alive, you may want to be able to save them. Or if you go to a range, like you said, you go to a public range. Everybody who's been to a public range has seen somebody do something unsafe. And that could have the potential to cause life-threatening injury. So we have a trauma kit that has tourniquets with it, hemostatic agent, Celox, and it has chest seals and all the stuff you would need to do if you don't die instantly from a headshot or getting shot in the heart. You know what I mean? You're going to either bleed out, or you're going to, you're through a sucking chest wound. And so we have all of those things. We have one of those set up to be able to stabilize somebody, at least to get them to a hospital. And so there's been many things I see. I hear of shootings. I see of things like that where if just this person had a tourniquet, they would be alive right now. So we have one of those set up. And then we're also, along with the first aid, we're selling. We're probably going to add on a little survival kit. I'm getting pricing and samples sent to me so I can see what I think could fit in there. So
right. And then you've got like you said on the Kickstarter page here, it's got all the various the hygiene kit,
Bond from Fight Soap. Supplying with soap, and Warbeard, like a beard oil, and we have a limited number of run. I think there's like 92 of them left out of the hundreds, and we have some early bird specials going on right now. So it's like, there's like we had like 100 kits for a little bit cheaper, and they're all gone already. And we have like some empty cases, and there's some of them left. But yeah, there's a bunch of different uses for this. container that, I have one where I have some pop flares. So like I have some pen flares that a whole pen flare kit goes in there, and we have orange ones. So you could throw that on a boat. And it's going to protect the flares and everything inside. So there's a million uses by this, and it really is, up to you. And you could, since the pouches are so prevalent, you can put this, anywhere.
Right. Now, where can people find out more info, and where can people go to help support you in this?
You could Google, just Google Miss Clean, and the Kickstarter's up there. You could go to Kickstarter.com and type in Miss Clean, and it will pop up. You could go to my Facebook page. You can go to my website, www.mscleankits.com, and there's links to everything there. And there's just, all of the ways you would go to find that is out there. So those are the main ways where you're going to find them, and there's links to them out there.
And there'll also be links in the show notes for this show, gunguyradio.com/157. And
we're fortunate enough that, like, the first time we didn't know who any suppliers or anything like that. Well, we have Frog Lube, your choice of either Frog Lube, Fire Clean, or Breakthrough Clean for your lubricant. So you have a bio-based lubricant, you have a one true CLP with Fire Clean, and you have like a weapons grade military cleaning solvent system in Breakthrough Clean. Tactical Tailor, every one of these kits is coming with a Tactical Tailor pouch. B5, like I said, is making a carbon scraper tool for all of them. Leo Armory, they are doing color flashing for them, so there's going to be crosses on the ones, and Fight Soap is doing the hygiene kits, and they're going to have a color flashed logo on there. And we also offer the spool tool as an add-on, which is like an injection molded 550 cord tool to supplement like any survival, people doing it to make survival kits and stuff. Because the spool tool has a cutting implement, it has a fire implement on it, it has cordage, has it's pretty good for that. So it complements our survival kits perfectly.
Excellent. Well, I really appreciate you coming on the show and discussing this, and hopefully helps you out on your campaign to get this into the hands of anybody who wants one.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you having me on.
Alrighty, so that wraps up the main topics. We're going to head into the wrap-up section.
Ballroom jeans, fire hose work pants, and long-tail tees are three favorites among the men of Gun Guy Radio. Duluth Trading Company has perfected the art of clothing the manly man. If you want manly comfort that's trusted by these gun guys, go to gunguyradio.com/Duluth and check out the other manly essentials Duluth Trading Company offers gun guys like us.
Thank you, Peter, for that great interview. I really think this is a product that a lot of people will make use of, and I foresee it being really popular, so thanks a lot for that. And if you would also like to support the Kickstarter campaign for the Miss Clean 2.0 kits, just search Miss Clean, MS Clean 2.0, the double kit on Kickstarter, and you should be able to find it right there. There's also a very informative video showing the uses and the strength of the kit.
Gun Guy Radio says thank you, and proudly displays artwork and graphics designed by Ryan Cross of Hunter of Design. HunterofDesign.com.
Hey, it's Jake here, just checking in here on Ryan, and I wanted to make sure that you're enjoying this episode of Gun Guy Radio. And if you are, please consider going over to patreon.com/gun. What is Patreon, you may ask? Well, Patreon is a simple way for you to crowdfund every episode of Gun Guy Radio. If you're enjoying this show, you can go over to patreon.com/gun and pledge either $1 an episode or $5 an episode to, throw your support behind Pro Gun Radio like this. And also we have some companies that are throwing their support behind Gun Guy Radio by giving some gift cards and gear to send out and random battle boxes that go out to only our patrons here at Gun Guy Radio. Alien Gear Holsters have given $25 gift cards. Works Holsters have given $25 gift cards. LA Police Gear has given some bags, and Duluth Trading Company has given $50 gift cards. Not to mention Duke Cannon Supply Company has also given Field Box gift packs of big-ass bricks of soap, and GunGoddess.com has also included $25 gift cards. You can get all that and more in a random drawing of our battle boxes that we send out to the exclusive group of patrons of Gun Guy Radio. So walk, don't run over to Patreon. Wait, I said that wrong. Patreon.com/gun.
Well, that about wraps it up for this week's episode of Gun Guy Radio. Please remember to subscribe to us in iTunes so that you never miss a show, and please leave us a review there as well, gunguyradio.com/iTunes. Also, please consider joining the NRA and also the Second Amendment Foundation. There are links there in the show notes. And don't forget to check out all the other shows on the Firearms Radio Network. This is Ryan Bachad. Thanks for having me, and I'll see you next week.
This has been a production of the Firearms Radio Network. You can find more information at firearmsradio.tv. In a world where the mainstream media only talks about clips and ghost guns, where do you turn for accurate firearms news?
We know people like Ultimac rails, which, as far as I'm concerned, for gas tubes on custom AKs is a standard.
Live every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Central.
The magic of tracking point, I don't think, is the optic per se, because the optics don't make you shoot better; they make you see better, right? But the magic of tracking point is that it separates stability from trigger control.
This Week in Guns has been broadcasting the truth for over 100 episodes.
Like, haha, idiot, not, haha, now you don't have a finger.
It's funny when you say it like that.
Yeah, they're both kind of funny.
Featuring the Full Auto News segment. Stories the real media refuses to talk about.
I wonder if there's anybody over there who likes firearms freedom like us.
ThisWeekinGuns.com or search This Week in Guns on iTunes or your favorite podcatcher app.